A terrorist attack on a police station in the southern Turkish city of Mersin has left one police officer dead. Security footage showed two women attacking the police station with assault rifles before detonating explosives hidden in their backpacks. Turkey's Defense Minister Hulusi Akar says the attack on Mersin was orchestrated in Syria. The Turkish military has been battling the PKK's affiliate, the YPG, in northern Syria for several years, including with Operations Olive Branch in 2018 and Peace Spring in 2019. Founded in 1984, the PKK terror group has been waging a decades-long war against Turkey, resulting in the deaths of more than 40,000 people. Operating along the Turkish border with Syria and Iraq, the PKK has launched dozens of terrorist attacks on Turkish cities. And for more on Turkey's ongoing war against the PKK, I'm joined by Bilgehan Ozturk. He's a researcher at the SETA Foundation, a security think tank based in Ankara. And Ahmet Keser, he's an associate professor of political science and international relations at Hasan Kalyoncu University. He joins me now from Gaziantep. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. So following the PKK's attack on the Mersin police station in which a police officer was killed, a terrorist's name was brought into the spotlight. We've learned that Dilşah Ercan worked for a PKK propaganda outlet years ago and was jailed in 2010. Then she was released a few years later. So how has this latest incident proven some Western organizations' accusation of Turkey for jailing journalists wrong?
Ayşe, here I think all the international organizations and the states should be able to distinguish between the real journalists and the terrorist organizations using journalism as a mask to cover their activities. Of course, we all have to respect for all the fundamental rights, and freedom of media is one of the priority, which has most priority among them. But on the other hand, we know that right to life, right to property, and right to health and happiness are the most important and permanent fundamental rights for all the citizens of any country as well. Mm-hmm. So when we approach to any kind of list or name or case, we have to be very careful when evaluating the situation. Is it the situation shows or directs to a real journalist or somebody who is using journalism as a mask to cover other terrorist activities? Mm-hmm. Otherwise, this may direct us or mislead us to fall into mistakes which cannot be corrected afterwards.
So, Bilgehan, do you think this latest attack will help some international circles listen to Turkey's concerns regarding arguments on who is terrorist and who is not?
I hope, but I'm really wary about this prospect because the accusations and discussions in the West, unfortunately, are political in nature rather than detecting or establishing the ground for the liberty or the freedom of expression or the journalistic ethics. Unfortunately, yes, although we have this very solid evidence that some person, an individual who was caught by CCTV cameras while attacking a police station and killed, unfortunately, a police member and injured others. The other side, who has been championing in a way the freedoms of quote and unquote unjustly jailed journalists, will say that this is just one example or one individual. They will come up with the argument that there is a huge list of journalists who are in jail, and they are not necessarily caught while undertaking a terrorist attack. So I think some of them will revise their position. Who are sound-headed. They will revise their position and heed the arguments of Turkey. But others who are much more motivated by ideology rather than facts, I think they will stick to their position and argument. Will keep criticizing Turkey on the grounds that Turkey is unjustly jailing journalists.
So, Ahmet, isn't Turkey doing enough to express itself when it comes to defining terrorism and journalism? What's lacking here?
There might be a lack of international communication about this issue. So the public diplomacy efforts are, of course, ongoing related to that one. But I think that the basic problem comes from the country's approach to the definition of terrorism. Normally, if we accept that terror and terrorism is a kind of activity, armed activity to reach the political goals, so we should include all the organizations and their extensions also within this perspective. But we see that some countries, for example, evaluate PKK as in their terrorist list, but other extensions are not included in that list.
Yeah, like the YPG, I think you're referring to.
So this is one of the problems. The second is about your mention. I think Turkey should increase the efforts about the cases in the court.
Yes.
So why they are arrested, how the case is ongoing, is that person is being justified for his or her media activities or another terrorist or activity. So if we can, if Turkey can express these issues more open and often to the outsider world, I think the understanding regarding these issues might be better in this case.
Yeah, so Bilgehan, meanwhile, Defense Minister Hulusi Akar has announced that this attack was plotted in northern Syria. So how will this impact Turkey's anti-terror operations in the region?
There is already a relentless anti-terror operation going on, extraterritorial, beyond the borders of Turkey, and I would say this is going back to years. Both northern Iraq and northern Syria are the theaters of this relentless anti-terror operations, and they have multiple realms like intelligence, military operations, and so on and so forth. And this will also bolster the decisiveness of the Turkish security apparatus and the decision makers for their position in their being determined in their fight against PKK terrorism. And of course, we have a military operation, cross-border military operation in northern Syria in our agenda, although it is being kept on the sidelines for the moment. But I'm sure that it will increase the legitimacy of this upcoming or prospective military operation in northern Syria, and I think Turkey will take this latest account with this latest attack into account in its calculation for its operations timing and the appropriate context for the military operation.
So Ahmet, we know the PKK is not as influential and strong as it used to be, but why do you think the terror organization chose the Mersin police station as a target, and what does this attack tell us about the capabilities of the terror organization?
When we evaluate the latest operations ongoing within the country and in the neighboring countries like northern Iraq and even including Iran, by the mutual agreement of two countries in the late weeks, we see that the PKK terrorist organization have a problem of surviving. So to show that they are still there and they can still go on their terrorist activities, they choose least or less risky operations like suicide bombing and those kind of activities. And also they choose careful targets like police officers or a kind of police house instead of civilians. So now, before the elections, this might be a very carefully selected target by the PKK terrorist organization. They are targeting any kind of government institution and officials, but they are still there. So they want to give this image, I think, to all the public audience in this way.
All right, gentlemen, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.